Well, good morning. We appreciate all our friends, family, and employees and other folks that are here today to help us celebrate this important milestone in the City of Lakeland's history. And unfortunately, Mayor Gal Fields, who normally does the introduction, is unable to be with us today. He is attending a Florida League of Cities meeting, and he had asked if I could stand in his behalf, so we appreciate it. But he nonetheless expresses his apologies for not being part of this morning's meeting. What we want to do is really recognize this morning the city's attainment of the first Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, or what is otherwise known as LEED, certified building by the U.S. Green Building Council. This building has attained a gold rating, which is one of the highest ratings that are distinguished upon such structures by the accrediting agency, and it is based upon its sustainability, water efficiency, energy efficiency, green materials, and innovation in design. The special design includes a solar reflectant roof, the use of skylights for natural light, low-impact building materials used to enhance indoor air quality, and water use reductions and measures which reduces the number of recycled materials that we use in the building, all of which, when combined, allows us to operate this facility at about 25% energy use than what a comparable non-LEED design facility would accomplish. And to help us celebrate this morning, although we didn't have the mayor with us, I know we have a couple commissioners with us. We've got Commissioner Don Selvage in attendance, and also Commissioner Philip Walker. And I'm going to also highlight his son Christian, who is here with us as well. So obviously school's out, now you get to accompany Dad to these fun events as well, so welcome, Christian. And I always like to recognize those individuals because at the end of the day, they're the ones that ultimately approve the appropriations and the funds that allow us to do this particular construction, so we appreciate that work. The building that is behind me used to house the former Lakeland Community Credit Union, which the city acquired back in 2003. And the project included, obviously, the renovation, the new construction that I spoke of, and it was completed almost a year ago in August of 2012. And then there was a process going through the LEED certification. And we have our design team members here, as well as the construction folks here that will be speaking later. But so to start things off, with that as a background, I'd like to introduce Mr. Rick Lilliquist, who is Public Works Director. And he'll make a few general comments and then introduce the design team and the actual construction team. So once again, thanks for coming, and Rick, I'll have you come up.
Thank you, Doug. And since the mayor's not here, I'll take his few minutes to fill in also. But this is the first LEED building for the City of Lakeland, and hopefully it's not the last one. But when we were first considering on this project whether or not to build green, we looked at 4 different areas that were considered and evaluated on whether or not we should go that extra mile and build green to LEED's green building rating system. That first consideration point was the impact to the environment, and specifically the reduced electric and water consumption and the solid waste generation. Some fun facts, if you will. Buildings consume 74% of the electricity produced annually in the U.S. And they represent the 3rd largest category of water use behind thermoelectric power and irrigation. So based upon the engineering energy modeling results, the LEED certified facility we're here to recognize today will utilize 24% less energy and 42% less water consumption when compared to the baseline building performance of a similar sized structure. Regarding construction and demolition waste, building projects account for 40% of the total solid waste stream in the U.S. from construction and demolition waste on building projects. 90% of the construction waste from this project, or more than 263 tons, was diverted from being disposed of in a landfill and instead was recycled. And over 84% of the existing building structure and envelope was reused. Secondly, we considered the reduced operating costs, which reduced energy demands and water consumption directly equates to significantly lower utility cost. Thirdly was the increased productivity. Natural daylight features incorporated into the design of this building reduces the electric lighting demands, lowers energy consumption, and reduces associated O&M cost. Also, the access to the outside views was a priority design consideration for this building. And if those that recall this building before it was renovated, you'll remember that it had very few exterior windows, very small daylight openings, if you will, kind of giving it that dungeon-esque feel. Well, when natural daylight is combined with the access to the outside views, studies indicate that higher work productivity and increased job satisfaction result. So Jeff, take note. Fourthly, improves indoor air quality, and with Americans spending an average of 90% of their time indoors, strategies to improve indoor air quality have the potential to first reduce liability for building occupants, and secondly, though not in the case of this building, increase the resale value and marketability of buildings, and then thirdly, improves the health of building occupants. So after careful deliberation of these factors, coupled with the emphasis of the city to retrofit city buildings to more energy efficient facilities, along with the past examples of indoor air quality issues experienced firsthand by the city, the decision to build green was made easier. So now, before I turn the program over to our next speaker, I'd like to express thanks and appreciation to the city's manager of facilities maintenance, Richard Baker. Richard, where are you? Thank you, Richard. And also for the project coordinator, Donna Page. I know she's in the background, but thank you, Donna. These two did a yeoman's job in making this such a successful project, and also following that, then the seamless transition and moving the solid waste staff from their older building just south of here into the new facility. So thank you, Richard and Donna. Our next speaker, project architect Ben Mundy of Swilly, Curtis, Mundy, and Honeycutt. I can say that without a doubt that it is because of Ben's careful and painstaking attention to detail and his experience and expertise on building renovation projects that this project turned out to be such a wonderful asset to the City of Lakeland and to the Solid Waste Division. So it goes without saying that I'm thankful to have had Ben serve as the lead architect on this project, the city's first LEED certified project. With that, I'll turn it over to Ben.
Well, thank you, Rick. That was very nice. And Rick kind of outlined the why build green and so forth, and how we move forward in trying to make our construction projects and general development more sustainable. So I'm going to touch base on a little more detail and a little bit of how we achieve that. And first, just to give you an idea, an overview for those that aren't familiar, the LEED process is somewhat complex, but at the same time it's very simple. The more points you get, the higher the rating you get. And so our goal from the very outset, we got with the city's team, our design team, our engineers and so forth, and our goal was really to take a very pragmatic approach. We're going to utilize standard construction practice techniques, and for the most part standard materials. But to get the LEED certification, we're going to evaluate each one, and just kind of, and essentially, you take that general, I'm going to say, general approach, and just bump it up a notch. And there are certain areas where you bump it up a little bit more than others, but our intent was not to chase points. Our intent was to take good, sound design and construction practices and enhance that to achieve this certification. So some of the implementation strategies, some of them have already been outlined. As far as the general building materials, using materials with recycled content and so forth, trying to divert materials from the landfill. The building envelope, we preserved as much of it as we could. I can tell you we still cut some big holes in this building. And yet we actually salvaged some of the brick veneer, took it off, put it back on the building. Reasonable insulation values in the building envelope, probably just a little more than what normal practice would be. Mentioned the roof with a high solar reflectance. But some of the other things on the equipment itself, using higher efficiency equipment. This building actually, though it's a commercial building, we actually utilize residential type equipment, but utilize the highest efficiency equipment we could. And also for water conservation, we have drought tolerant landscaping, and then also low flow plumbing fixtures, urinals, toilets, and even water sensor controlled faucet. A lot of this that was implemented you see in other buildings. It's just for the LEED process, we document it. We maybe use something a little bit different than what you would use in a normal construction practice. And finally, on the interior environment, Rick touched on daylighting. And this is the one thing I kind of look at this building, and I'm very proud of the whole team and the whole project, but I look and I say, okay, if someone is to look at this building, how do they look at it and say, is there something special to make it LEED? Well, the only kind of marker I can see is it has skylights, because you just don't see skylights in that many buildings. And other than that, it's a very ordinary looking building, but the attention to detail and how we approach the project, I think, is what helped us achieve this certification. But in closing, I would like to thank the city for making this decision to go for a LEED certification. And especially for Richard Baker and his leadership, and Rick Lilliquist. We started out at a baseline of where we thought we could get. Rick wasn't going to be satisfied with that. He said, we're going to bump it up, and that's really what led to us achieving the gold certification. With that, I would like to introduce Jason Rada with Rada Construction. As part of the team, as the architects, we're the designers. The contractors are just so instrumental in going through and continuing with the LEED process in how they manage the project, especially construction waste and materials and so forth. And also, I can't forget, I want to introduce Neil Melby with our office, an architect with our office. And he is the one that really put the nuts and bolts together in the process, helping us strategize how we go forward in meeting this goal. But anyway, with that, Neil, thank you very much. And Jason? All right. Thank you.
Thank you for those kind words. This is an exciting day for our company and for the city as well. With me today also are John Rada and Jody Rada from our company. Jeff Sandman was our project manager, and Shorty Carter was a superintendent out here on site every day making this project happen. We're proud for our company's heritage of being leaders in green building in this county. We, along with Swilly Curtis Architects, built the first building that was certified in this county about 5 years ago. We also just recently completed the Polk County School Board's first LEED certified building, and so it's exciting that we were able to partner with the city on this project as well. And it's neat to be able to help implement the first plan for a new agency or a new group and be able to do that, so we were excited for that opportunity and thankful as well, of course. You heard a lot about the planning and the design of what goes into one of these. Well, our task is to make that happen, is to bring all that ideas and all those good thoughts and actually make it happen in the field. We were able to do that, as Rick said, through the waste diversion. We were able to divert 90% of the waste that was generated from this job went to recycling or reuse instead of going into the landfill. And as he said, that was 263 tons. So I don't know how many times we'd have filled up one of the trucks doing that, but it would have been a bunch of them. So not only does that save space in the landfill, it saves effort, it saves all kinds of things, and it's good practice. We also helped identify materials that were recycled and that were produced locally. 25% of the materials that went into this building were both manufactured and then delivered from within a 500-mile radius of this project. And that's not real easy to do either, because we're here at the bottom of the peninsula of the country. So if we were in the middle of the country, 500-mile radius gives you a lot of options, but down here it makes it a little tighter. So it takes a lot of planning and prior knowledge of what material sources and stuff there are out there. So we were able to help bring that as well. And 24% of the materials in this building were recycled as well, which is hard to believe too, because a lot of stuff is made for the first time from new materials, and it's hard to do. So we were happy that we were able to achieve a 20% threshold on both those two things. The final thing we did was develop and implementing the indoor air quality plan. During construction, we made sure the areas were ventilated properly for the workers' safety, and that the proper materials were used to keep the workers safe during construction. We didn't allow smoking from within 25 feet of the building to there, protected the materials as they went in so they wouldn't be damaged by other work or by moisture, things like that. And at the end of the project, once everything was finished, we sealed the building up, closed it off, and let the building air out, and then tested the air in the building to make sure that there weren't any off gases left from the carpet adhesives and the paints and things like that. So when all the staff was able to move into the building, it had been rendered that everything was to acceptable levels and was fit to be occupied. All those elements, as was spoken about earlier, every person on the design team, and the design and construction, there were many people involved in this project. We all had to carefully document and picture and write up exactly what each one of us did for each of these points and turn them all in online. And this process on this project happened very quickly. It's, like I said, the third one I've been involved with, and this was the smoothest and fastest of getting all those things done and getting them in, and that resulted in us getting this plaque from about 10 months after the project was done, which usually it takes well over a year. So that's exciting too, that everybody worked hard and did a good job putting that together. So with that, thank you for having us and for making us part of this team. Thank you.